If you've ever spent time around animals, you've probably noticed that they communicate with each other using a combination of sounds, smells, and body language. You may have also noticed that some of these signals are fairly universal across different species. For instance, most mammals use a version of the same basic vocalization to communicate distress, kind of like a version of "help me, I'm being chased by a cougar," or "hey, there's a juicy steak in the back of this guy's throat." But other animals need to be a bit more proactive in their sniffing. Dogs, for instance, sniff urine to learn information about other dogs in the area, such as their sex, reproductive status, and individual identity. Male fire ants will spray a pheromone from their abdomens when threatened. Honeybees perform a waggle dance to tell their nestmates where they found a good source of pollen or nectar. When a cat's pupil dilates, it shows that the kitty is interested in something or feels threatened. Meanwhile, constricting the pupil can indicate that a cat feels comfortable and safe. And dogs can dilate their pupils when they feel fear or anxiety, but also constrict them when they want to focus on something, just like us humans. Bioluminescence, or the ability to produce light via chemical reactions in the body, is common among deep-sea creatures. It's so widespread, in fact, that one researcher estimated there are over 700 bioluminescent fish species swimming around the world's oceans. Tactile communication, or communication via touch, is super common in social animals. Animals often need to interact with their surroundings, and some do so in rather surprising ways. And the more we learn, the more we realize that the natural world is filled with meaningful sounds, sights, smells, and textures. With all these forms of communication happening all around us, we just have to open our ears, eyes, noses, and even our minds to hear what animals have to say. Take the humpback whale, which famously sings complex songs that can last for hours. But they aren't just singing for our entertainment. There are several potential reasons for the songs, including attracting mates and communicating with other whales across vast distances. Because humpbacks spend so much time in the ocean, scientists have had to develop sophisticated technology to record and analyze their sounds. Recordings made by a remotely operated underwater vehicle revealed that humpback songs are full of different motifs that can be repeated over and over, or strung together in different orders. Over time, songs change. Between 1970 and 2007, the songs changed in a way that could be detected by a computer algorithm. And those changes spread through whale populations faster than the speed of sound. Elephants use their trunks to stroke one another's heads and bodies, which can serve as a greeting, show affection, or show submission. Chimpanzees also use tactile communication when they groom one another. That's why Brilliant has courses on a wide range of science topics, including their new Everyday Math course, which can help you strengthen your quantitative and analytical skills and show you how math is used in everyday situations. You don't have to be good at math or even enjoy it. You just need to be interested in learning. Grooming is a way of strengthening bonds between group members. Dolphins use touch to show dominance or submission, as well as during mating. They can also communicate via a combination of touch and sound. Researchers have found that dolphins use signature whistles to refer to themselves, but they also touch each other while making these calls. The combination of touch and sound may help emphasize the meaning of the whistle. Many animals that can create light use it to lure prey or startle predators. But some creatures use bioluminescence for more subtle reasons. Bioluminescent bacteria living inside the bellies of bobtail squid communicate with each other by flashing light in different colors and patterns. The bobtails can then change the color of their skin to either enhance or dampen the glow coming from within. Scientists think that this glowing skin might play a role in camouflage. When the ocean around the bobtails matches the brightness and color of the light coming from the bacteria, it helps hide the squid's shadow. During the dance, they waggle back and forth, and the angle they take relative to the vertical tells their fellow bees the angle of the sun when they depart the hive to go find the flowers. Some animals emit ultraviolet or infrared light, which means that the ways they communicate might not be obvious to us. The extent to which bioluminescence is used in animal communication is still poorly understood, but it's clear that light plays a big role in how some creatures interact. Lots of animals produce sounds to communicate, but these noises can mean very different things depending on the context. Birds use a variety of vocalizations to communicate with one another, including alarm calls, contact calls, and territorial songs. In some cases, these vocalizations can be quite complex. For instance, white-throated sparrows have 5 different songs that are used for attracting a mate, defending territory, and communicating with mates. These songs can last 12 seconds or longer and include several different notes. Another kind of bee, the bumblebee, performs a similar waggle dance, but the direction of their waggle run tells their nestmates the direction of nearby flowers instead of the angle of the sun. Take the vervet monkey, which produces a variety of alarm calls that warn other vervet monkeys, as well as neighboring groups of baboons, of the presence of predators. The alarm call for an eagle or hawk sounds very different from the call for a leopard, ensuring that the baboons respond appropriately. Although we generally think of animals making sounds to communicate with their fellow creatures, Sometimes the audience for their vocalizations is us humans. Domestic cats meow to communicate with us, but also use a variety of other vocalizations to talk to other cats. Their screams, growls, and hisses are meant for fellow felines, while meows are reserved for their human companions. This serves as a warning to other ants in the colony that the intruders should be attacked. Even humans release pheromones, though the effects of these chemical signals haven't been well studied in humans. Some research suggests that your sweat may contain pheromones that influence the sexual attractiveness of other people. But despite those similarities, it's also clear that every species has its own way of talking. Many animals have evolved bright colors and patterns to attract mates or warn off would-be and some of these displays can be pretty dynamic. Take the peacock, famous for its large, colorful tail feathers that are only on display during mating season. The tail feathers are basically a flashy set of wings that can't be used for flying, but work great for attracting a mate. Similarly, male birds of paradise have elaborate plumage that they shake and shimmer to attract a partner. And the blue-ringed octopus uses a color change as part of its mating ritual. By flashing its iconic ring, it lets its potential partner know that it's ready to reproduce. Bees perform little dances to tell their nestmates about the location of flowers. For instance, the greater sage grouse has a brightly colored inflatable neck sac that it displays during mating season. It also has a white eyebrow stripe that it can raise or lower depending on whether it's trying to look dominant or submissive. Meanwhile, some fish change the color of their fins to show off to potential mates. Male jewel cichlids, for instance, flash their vibrant blue fins to impress their crush. And male parrots can turn their normally drab green feathers a brilliant red when excited. Humpback whales sing songs that change over time and place. And honey possums make a noise that is eerily similar to the sound a domestic cat makes when it wants to be pet. But while we can recognize that animals have their own languages, we're only just beginning to decode what they mean. In other words, we know that animals talk, but we're only just learning how to understand them. So here's a look at how creatures from bees to whales talk to one another. To really understand how animals talk, it helps to first consider how we ourselves communicate. Humans use a spoken language with an infinite number of possible combinations of words, but that's not the only way we talk. We also use a combination of body language, facial expressions, and chemical signals. Chemical signals are released into the air or water, and they reused by lots of different kinds of animals to convey all sorts of information. These chemicals are known as pheromones, and they can signal things like a female's readiness to mate, warn others of potential predators, or let members of the same species know that an area has already been claimed by another animal. Pheromones are especially important for insects, which don't have complex vocalizations or very expressive faces. Instead, ants use pheromones to leave scent trails for their nestmates to follow. Moths release sex pheromones to attract potential partners, and termites use them to mark trails to food sources as well as identify members of their colony. Some animals can pick up on these chemical cues without doing anything more than floating or fluttering past the source of the smell. When it comes to animal communication, what you see is often just as important as what you smell. Some animals don't just rely on their own coloration, but use the colors of parts of their body to communicate. In some cases, an animal's body language can be surprisingly subtle. Body language isn't always limited to the movements of the body itself. Some animals change the shape of their pupils to communicate. And yes, let's face it, humans aren't the only ones who can get worked up over their environment. Some animals don't just use their voices to communicate with other members of their species, but also with other species. Not all animal communication happens out in the open. Sometimes it takes place in the dark. One of the coolest things about bioluminescence is that it does only come in the form of light you can see with your eyes. On land, there are plenty of ways to communicate without making a sound or flashing any lights. Communication isn't only a way for animals to talk to one another, but also a way to talk to their environment. We are constantly learning more about the amazing ways that animals communicate. When it comes to understanding the natural world, it helps to have a solid foundation in science.